Eric. Esoteric and occult knowledge.
There you go. Our spells are done for the night. And because it is moonology, it is moon night, it is new moon, let me read some moonology card deck over here. Our crystal baskets. On that, crystals in a basket.
Oh, let me see how much juice I got here on my speaker.
I hope that you enjoyed the spells. All right, let me add the people that came in a little later. Pauline, you are number 20. Okay, hold on.
Do a little charge in here.
Pauline is number 20. We have Kimo, number 21.
Oh, shoot. Hold on a minute.
Study your laws of the universe. The law of attraction, the law of abundance, the law of equivalent exchange. Study your laws, the laws of cause and effect, the karmic cycle. Study your laws. Dwell into your mind, meditate. Understand that you can alter your realms by your train of thought.
That's right.
The minute you slow down your thought, you're able to leave your body through astral projection. You're only enslaved if you can't control your mind. So while you can and while you don't have the whole world against you, or you don't have a lot of worries, worry on freeing your mind from this realm. When you can free your mind from this realm, everything is but a thought. And if you can't free your mind, then you're a slave to this realm.
The law of dissonance. It says that you are going to experience mental discomfort when you hold two conflicting beliefs or when your actions don't agree with your beliefs. As an example, you believe that smoking is bad for your health, yet you continue to smoke. You believe that extramarital affairs are morally wrong, and yet you continue to be involved with someone on the side. You believe that you should be a more patient mother, yet you continue to yell at your children. The law says that when your beliefs and actions are incompatible, you will attempt to reduce the resulting discomfort by changing either your actions or your beliefs. The law of dissonance is sometimes called the law of self-delusion, the law of experience. It says that new information entering your mind destroys previous information of a similar nature. Once a pathway of information has been established in your brain, that viewpoint will prevail unless new information comes in to destroy and replace it. As an example, while horseback riding, you fall off and hurt yourself. Now, if that's the end of your experience with horses, your experience has been programmed negatively. That's why instructors always urge new riders to climb back aboard immediately after falling off. You need fresh, new input to erase the trauma of the fall. The law is an innate, organic process that does not require your conscious attention or active participation. It suggests that the basic processes of the brain are in an endless state of growth and reorganization. Now, the law of experience can be used effectively in altered state of consciousness programming because your subconscious cannot tell the difference between fantasized experience and a real experience. So, as an example, if you always feel extreme anxiety in crowds, in an altered state, you could vividly imagine yourself perfectly relaxed in a crowd of people. Your mind will accept this as a reality and invoke the law of experience. After a few days, weeks, or months of this programming, your mind will have totally experienced being calm in crowds, and it will carry over into your personal reality. The law of fearful confrontation. This law says that if you fear doing something and yet have the courage to do it anyway, you will soon do a mental flip-flop and may even become addicted to doing it. As an example, if you fear skydiving but force yourself to do it, the experience generates the internal release of beta endorphins. These internally manufactured opiates chemically resemble opium and are quite addicting. The more you skydive, the more you will want to skydive, or ski straight down mountains, or gamble, or whatever it was that you originally feared and that still causes you this internal rush. The law of denial. It says when you refuse to deal with a highly emotional issue or refuse to take responsibility for an unpleasant situation, you avoid living up to your potential. Such things can be put off for lifetimes, but the effect will be experienced mentally, physically, or as a lifestyle manifestation until you correctly balance the situation. The law of new beginnings. It says that for each of us in our time, there are major life turning points. There is a break in the energy wave patterns, and a complete change will result. Everything is affected by this change in flux, some things to a lesser degree than others. Examples would be 1. A traumatic situation or tragedy such as the death of a loved one. 2. A religious conversion. 3. A point in therapy when something clicks and from that time on the patient begins to get well. And 4. A mother giving birth to a baby. The law of harmony. This law supersedes even the fundamental law of karma, for harmony is a supreme potential of balance. The purpose of karma is to attain harmony. If you throw a rock into a pond, you disturb the harmony of the pond. You are the cause, and the effect is the splash and the ripples that flow out and back until the harmony is restored. Now, similarly, your disharmonious karmic actions flow out into the universe and back upon you, lifetime after lifetime, until eventually your own harmony is restored. So, as you experience your life, you and the entire universe are experiencing the karmic ripples which will eventually result in harmony. Once you have evolved to the position of living an entire lifetime in harmony, you are free from the wheel of reincarnation. The law of reincarnation and karma. Until you have resolved your karma and fulfilled your dharma, you will continue to reincarnate into sequential lifetimes upon the earth. Neither God nor the lords of karma bestow suffering upon you during these lives. For each life experience, you seek out other souls, often with shared histories, and always with karmic configurations matching your needs. Now, whenever you act with intention, you create karma. Actions are considered to be thoughts, emotions, words, and deeds, and the motive, intent, and desire behind each. Disharmonious acts must be balanced in the future in this life or in a future lifetime. They are rooted in fear-based emotions, which must be resolved before you can release yourself from the wheel of reincarnation. You return, lifetime after lifetime, to test yourself, to see if you have learned your lessons. Now, until you can go through an entire lifetime with total involvement and no disharmonious attachment whatsoever, you will continue to reincarnate. In other words, when you can live a life of perfect harmony, liberation will follow. The law of wisdom. Wisdom erases karma. If you have the wisdom to learn your lessons through love and wisdom, you can mitigate your suffering. Sadly, though, we seem to learn fastest through pain. through directly experiencing the consequences of our actions. As an example, you greedily take from others, and instead of learning through wisdom and love that this is wrong, you have to directly experience someone greedily taking from you, whether later in this life or in a future lifetime. As another way to look at the law of wisdom, when you move toward a predestined test in your life, if you have the wisdom to proceed with harmony, you will surely mitigate the traumatic impact of the event. The law of grace. Karma can be experienced to the letter of the law, or in mercy and grace. In other words, if you give love, mercy, and grace to others, you will receive the same in return. The law of soul evolution. Everyone on earth shares the goal of soul evolution, whether they realize it or not. We have reincarnated because we desire to spiritually evolve by rising above our fear-based emotions and learning to express unconditional love. In so doing, we raise our vibrational rate and move closer to a state of harmony. Even when it appears that you are not evolving, you are in reality making progress. We learn through the pain of our disharmonious acts, which can be viewed as our mistakes or failures. But if you fell off a bicycle 9 times before you learned to ride it on the 10th attempt, you needed 9 failures to achieve your final success. In reality, every failure was a small success, bringing you closer to accomplishing your goal. The law of vibrational attainment. The entire universe operates on the same principle of vibrational energy. When Einstein discovered that matter is energy, he opened the door to merging science and metaphysics. The scientists have proven that energy cannot die. It can only transform. And, by its very nature, energy must move forward or backward, stand still. For to do so is stagnation, resulting in transformation. Now you are energy. Your skin, which appears solid, is actually trillions of swiftly moving molecules orbiting each other at a specific vibrational rate, a physical life rate that you earned in the past as a result of how harmoniously or disharmoniously you've lived your past lives and your current life up until this very moment in time. The law of free will. The law of free will operates in 3 ways. Number 1, although many of the major events in your life are astrologically predestined, you always have free will to mitigate the impact of the event or to transcend it entirely. This will result from how you live your life up to the situation you have destined for yourself to experience. If you give grace and mercy to others, are positive, loving, and compassionate, and demonstrate by your actions that you've learned past lessons, you can minimize disharmonious experiences. Number 2, as you obtain Master of Life awareness and develop conscious detachment, you will be far less affected by worldly events than in the past. A Master of Life enjoys all the warmth and joy that life has to offer, but detaches from the negativity by allowing it to flow through him without affecting him. Number 3, you always have free will in how you respond to any situation. If you respond with positive emotions, compassion, and integrity, you have probably learned your karmic lessons and will not have to experience a similar situation in the future. The law of one. Every soul, living and discarnate, is connected to the level of the collective unconscious, deep within the higher self. We are all part of a great energy gestalt called God, and because we are part of God, we are God. It is the goal of the gestalt to move the energy forward, creating more energy. So, in living harmoniously, we each increase our vibrational rate and intensify the vibration of the entire gestalt. And when we are disharmonious, we decrease the vibration of the entire gestalt. Because we are one, everything you think, say, and do, and the motive, intent, and desire behind everything you think, say, and do affects every other soul. The law of manifestation. Everything manifest begins as a thought, an idea. Ideas and experiences create beliefs, which in turn create your reality. If you are unhappy with your current reality, you must change your beliefs and your behavior. Beliefs can be changed when you recognize those that are not working for you and begin programming what will create success and harmony in your life. The unlimited creative power of your mind, through dedication, awareness, and training, can be the wisdom to rise above your karma. Within physical laws, you can manifest any reality you desire to experience. In regard to changing your behavior, you must decide which disharmonious behaviors you want to eliminate. Then, be aware that you don't have to change how you feel about something to affect it, if you are willing to change what you are doing. The law of conscious detachment. His earthly teachings are best summarized with one of his statements. It is your resistance to what is that causes your suffering. And by suffering, he meant everything that doesn't work in your life. Relationship problems, loss of loved ones, loneliness, sickness, accidents, guilt, monetary hardship, unfulfilled desires, and so on. When you accept what is, you accept the unalterable realities in your life without resisting them. Some things are facts. They exist. And no matter how much you resist, there is nothing you are going to be able to do about them. Change what you can change, but have the wisdom to accept unalterable situations as they are, without wasting mental or physical energy attempting to change what you cannot change. Out of this acceptance comes involved detachment, the ability to enjoy all the positive aspects of life, but to allow the negativity to flow through you without resistance and without affecting you. The law of gratitude. From the perspective of karma and the law of one, the more you give, the more you will receive. The more you assist others, the more you assist yourself. The power of this law also works in your day-to-day life. The law of resistance. That which you resist, you draw to you, and you will perpetuate its influence upon your life. Resistance is fear. The law of resistance assures that you let go of the fear by encountering it until you are forced to deal with it by learning conscious detachment. By changing your perspective, you can usually eliminate the effects of a problem. And if you no longer are affected by a problem, you no longer have a problem, although nothing about the problem situation may have changed. Now, another aspect of the law of resistance states, that which you resist, you become, if not in this lifetime, in a future incarnation. The law of attraction. Where your attention goes, your energy flows.
That's right. I hope y'all
You
listening to
attract
this.
what you are,
That's right.
and that which you concentrate upon. If you are negative, you draw in and
I say
experience
it all the
negativity.
time, baby. I can make it.
If you are loving, you draw in and experience love. You
do
can
good,
only
you get
attract
good.
to you those
What
qualities
you
you
put
possess.
out, you get back. Simple as that.
So, if you want peace and harmony in your life, you must become peaceful and harmonious. The law of reflection. This law says that the traits you respond to in others, you recognize in yourself, both positive and negative. It has 4 primary manifestations. Number 1, that which you admire in others, you recognize as existing within yourself. Number 2, that which you resist in others and react to strongly in others is surely to be found within yourself. Number 3, that and react to in others is something which you are afraid exists within you. And number 4, that which you resist in yourself, you will dislike in others. In other words, you have chosen to incarnate upon the manifest plane to learn to rise above the effects of fear. Those fears will always be reflected in your reactions to others. Thus, your goals are very obvious once you recognize how to perceive them. As you let go of the fear, you automatically open to expressing more unconditional love. The law of unconditional love. The expression of unconditional love will eventually result in harmony. Unconditional love is not romantic love. It's the acceptance of others as they are without judgment or expectations. The law of unconditional love says, if you go out of your way to express unconditional love, you automatically rise above fear. And as you transcend your fears, you automatically open to the expression of unconditional love. The law of magnetic affinity. By astrologically choosing the time and place of your birth, you determine the nature of the effects you will experience in your life.
I keep telling y'all about that
On
bird
the other
shot.
side, before you were born, you made decisions about the lifetime you would be entering into. You chose your parents, other souls to interact with you, and the astrological configurations of your birth, which determine your character, personality, abilities, restrictions, and timing for strengths and weaknesses. If all of this seems too complicated to be real, be aware that you are only using 5 to 10% of the capacity of your brain. And the brain-mind researchers say the human brain has 200,000 times the capacity of the greatest computer ever built. Such calculations, as I've just described, would be no problem for such a computer. The law of abundance. You have within yourself everything required to make your earthly incarnation a paradise if you choose to accept that which is your natural birthright. We live in a universe of abundance, although the majority of those populating our planet appear to view it as a universe of scarcity. The law of attitude. Nothing in the universe can harm you but your own attitude. It is your attitude that moves you toward events and experiences, and it's your attitude that will worsen or lighten any event, catastrophe, or tragedy. You and you alone choose the attitude with which you will respond. No two people would respond to the same situation in the same way. Every earthly incarnation includes traumatic experiences, and the better you understand the working of karma, the more likely you will be to put events into a spiritual perspective. The law of commitment. When you become clear on your intent, making a decision and obligating yourself to a task or a belief, everything begins to fall into place if your direction is in harmony with the universe as it relates to your purpose. Now, once you have pledged this direction, things begin to happen almost magically. The key to this ultimate power is to have no indecisiveness at all. And the greater your emotional desire, the more power you will give to those on the other side who can assist you, and the more rapidly the manifestation. The law of compensation. It says that you and you alone are responsible for everything that happens to you. All is the result of your past thoughts, words, and deeds, which have formed your present attitude. Your attitude towards life and life experiences is returned to you in the form of rewards or problems, as love and joy, or as confusion, trouble, and heartbreaking experience. These karmic rewards or punishments can be delivered immediately, at a later date in your present life, or in a future incarnation. The law of environmental manifestation. It says that everything that surrounds you is an extension of you. Your mate, your home, your furnishings, your car, your pets, your yard, your office are a physical expression of your attitudes and belief system. Your environment is a reality picture of your core beliefs and expresses your self-image and cultural overview. The law of restriction. It says that man cannot create anything higher than his own level of understanding. Thus, Society can never get any better than the level of mankind as a whole. Our systems for social change usually only add new burdens to already ineffective systems. Time has proven that this approach to a new society doesn't work. And our mistake is in trying to right the wrongs of the world from the outside in. This is working on the effect instead of the cause, and is doomed to failure. Instead, we must work from the inside out. Every one of us on this planet can incorporate the power of harmonious thinking, which is the only long-term solution to poverty and limitation. To heal the world, we must each first heal ourselves.
Yep.
The heart is deceitful above all things. The verse demons don't want you to know. Have you ever heard the following saying? Number 1, follow your heart. Number 2, don't follow a trend, follow your heart. Number 3, you can do anything as long as you don't stop believing. When it is meant to be, it will be. You just have to follow your heart. And number 4, there is no path to success. Everyone constructs their own path. The important thing is to follow your heart. Find your niche is my best advice. The Bible never ever tells us to follow our heart, but our world and the culture of today tells us time and time again to follow your heart. Jeremiah 17 verse 9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? This is our verse today.
Introduction. You are the architect of your own life. It is yours to make or to unmake. By the power of thought, you are building and constructing your entire existence. The power is in your hands. It has always been in your hands. The power of thought, as Emerson says, is a spiritual power. It is the greatest power that man has at his disposal. The world today is in its present state simply as a result of mankind's collective thinking. Each nation is in its present state of either peace and prosperity or poverty, murder, and anarchy, simply as a result of its thinking as a nation, and each individual is what he is simply as results of his thoughts. You tend to become what you think about.
That's
You
right.
always move in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. What a man thinks, he becomes. What a man thinks is the mainspring of all his actions. What a man thinks attracts to him his circumstances and environment. What a man thinks determines what type of friends and companions will gather around him. What a man thinks decides whether he should be happy or miserable, successful or unsuccessful, healthy or unhealthy, prosperous or poverty-stricken, hated or loved. What a man thinks either builds up his character or pulls it down. What a man thinks can overcome fate or strengthen it, can bring him into alignment with his glorious destiny, or make him an outcast and a wanderer in desert places. Indeed, there is no limit to the power of thought, because it is a spiritual power of intense potency. It is the power which distinguishes man from the brute. It is the power by which he can mount up to God. It is the power which can make the unsuccessful successful in the battle of life. It is the power which can make the loftiest achievement possible. It is the power by which difficulties can be overcome, disadvantages of birth and parentage surmounted, and the life beautified and inspired and energized with God-given powers. By thought, man either blesses or curses himself. By it, he brings into his life either success or failure, health or disease, happiness or unhappiness, poverty or prosperity. It is all in his mind and the character of his thought. Whatever there is in your life or mine, of disharmony, lack, sickness, or unhappiness, is the result of our disharmonious thought. We live in an orderly universe, but we do not react harmoniously to our environment. We are not in correspondence with the hidden law and order around us. It is not necessary for the universe to be altered. What is needed is that we ourselves should be changed. Within ourselves is the cause of the disorder in our own individual world, for we each live in a little world of our own creation. Therefore, the disorder and trouble that afflicts us, or the lack that restricts our life, can never be overcome, save by a change of mind, habit of thought, and mental attitude. In the following pages, an attempt is made to show how the reader can, by changing his thoughts and mental attitude, reverse the lever and come into harmony with the divine idea. When this is accomplished, his life will blossom like the rose. He shall be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break before him into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Chapter 1. Thought, the cause of action. There is the conscious mind and there is the subconscious mind. The conscious mind gathers knowledge and experience through the senses. It learns from books, conversation, and experience. It reasons and forms conclusions. Finally, its thoughts pass down into the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the mind of action. It is responsible for all that we do. It is the seat of memory and of instinct. It is a reservoir of tremendous power. It is of extraordinary intelligence. It carries out all the complicated processes within the body which make life possible. The wisest and most learned of men cannot begin to fathom its wonderful powers. But in spite of this, we know enough about its manner of working to enable us to control it. And by controlling it, we control our actions. And by controlling our actions, we shape our life and overcome what is called fate. It is impossible to think evil thoughts and bring forth good actions. Many have tried it. They have said, I will be outwardly respectable and blameless in life, but in secret I will think this thought. I will hug it to my bosom because it is pleasant, but I will let it go no further because I know that evil action leads to shipwreck and disaster. Therefore I will deceive even my best friends. Outwardly I will be all that I ought to be, but in my thoughts I will be evil. Mine will be a double life. To outsiders I shall be one thing, and in my thought world something different. Thus I shall be able to enjoy evil in thought and escape its penalties. Such a one does not reckon with the power and faithfulness of the subconscious mind. Every evil thought which is entertained and gloated over acts as a powerful suggestion to this patient giant, until at last it can stand it no longer and bursts out into the life in the form of a course of evil action, which is an exact replica of the thoughts which have been entertained. This explains why so often people who have always been so exemplary in their conduct all at once go wrong and come crashing down to ruin. They are simply reaping the harvest of their thoughts. While this is true of the majority of those who indulge in secret evil thinking, there are yet those who, either through lack of courage or opportunity, do not or cannot break out into a course of evil action. By their evil thoughts, they arouse certain emotions which cannot be satisfied and which therefore have to be repressed. The effect of repression is either chronic ill health, for which no medical skill can ever cure, or organic disease that is beyond the art of man to heal. The reader must not imagine, however, that everyone who suffers in this way has been guilty of evil thinking, but the practice is certainly one of the ways by which some people can, and do, literally destroy themselves. Thus a man who gives way to hate and broods over his wrongs will be led to think of murder, and if he gloats upon thoughts of murder, a time will come when he may attempt murder. On the other hand, if the same man will keep his mind off his wrongs and think thoughts of forgiveness, or better still, if he will love or hold in thoughts of goodwill the one who has wronged him, then his life will become happy and peaceful, and in its highest sense, successful. Again, a man who gives way to weak, fearful thoughts, who fears that his business will fail, who fears that his luck may give out, who fears that competition will arise with which he will be unable to cope, such a man will probably fail because all his actions will be weak and hesitating and lacking in that strength and decision which are necessary for the achievement of success. On the other hand, if he will banish every weak negative thought, every thought of possible failure, and constantly brace his mind by affirmations of success. In other words, send down strong suggestions of success to his subconscious mind. Such a man will succeed in life because his actions will be strong and decisive. When faced by great difficulty, he will find that his subconscious mind will supply him with wonderful energy and staying power, great courage and determination, simply because it has been trained by right thinking to do so. It would be possible to fill a book with illustrations of the operation of this law, but in a little work of this kind, these two must suffice. These two must suffice. The law is immutable. It cannot be tricked or evaded. Whatever we think becomes sooner or later translated into action, and as upon our actions our life depends, it will be seen that it is possible by thought, control to govern our life. For by controlling our thoughts, we govern our actions. By governing our actions, we mold our life and circumstances, thus shaping our fate. Life is not a matter of chance or luck. It is not something out of our control. It is largely the result or effect of our thoughts. Therefore, by controlling our thoughts, and this, thank God, can be done, we can govern and direct our life to an almost unbelievable extent. As conscious thinking beings created, the Bible says, in God's likeness and image, or in other words, a microcosm of the macrocosm, we possess one of the greatest powers in the universe, and this power is thought. It depends upon how we use this wonderful power what our life shall be. The engine driver sends his engine either backward or forward, but it is the same power that is used in each case. In the same way, thinking man can either build up or destroy himself by the use or misuse of the potent power of thought. It depends upon how he uses this power, either for good or ill, as to whether his life shall be successful, healthy, happy, or harmonious, or lacking in definite achievement, true success and happiness. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Chapter 2. Victims of Ignorance. We do not believe that there are many who deliberately think negative thoughts. Most people mean well and want to do good and be good. But nevertheless, most of us are wrong thinkers, more or less, and this is due, so we firmly believe, mainly to ignorance. Because it is not generally known that negative thoughts are highly destructive, we ignorantly indulge in them, thinking that they do no harm. Actually, thoughts of impurity, anger, revenge, hate, resentment, envy, brooding over wrongs, brooding over sorrows, losses and griefs, thoughts of fear, failure, weakness, penury, sickness, disease, decay, mortality, and death are all highly destructive. They are destructive of health, of happiness, of circumstances, of life in all its departments. They break down the nervous system. They paralyze endeavor. They undermine the will. They make for wrong decisions. It will be admitted that this is a matter of prime importance, yet neither children nor the general public are instructed in these vital matters. Because of this almost universal ignorance, we most of us go on indulging in negative thinking, much to our detriment. How many of us, for instance, realize that it is thought that kills and not lack of food in most cases of death through alleged starvation? If a person cannot get food to eat, he dies in a very few days as a rule. Yet a person who fasts voluntarily in order to cure himself of some organic disease can do so, if the fast is wisely undertaken, for 40 or even more days, not only without injury, but with greatly beneficial results.
Now, you see, as we understand the fact that the words that are spoken, there is actually spirit life released in those words. You see, Jesus said, the words I speak to you, their spirit and their life. So there is life transmitted by the spoken word of God. There is also a spirit that's transmitted. It's the Spirit of God if it's God's word. If it's the devil's words that you're...
Just about everybody that you encounter is often going through something that may not be obvious from the outside, but they're facing a battle on the inside. Everyone that you come across is facing some type of battle in their life. I hope that you'll embrace that you have no idea what God might do through a single word of encouragement. You have no idea how God could use you to offer someone hope
One of the earliest definitions of magic is the art of influencing events and producing marvels using hidden natural forces. I know that most people don't believe in magic, but what if I told you that we all perform magic simply by speaking and writing words? As if the world wasn't bizarre enough as it is, you will now learn that the words we choose to use in our everyday thoughts have magical elements to them, and you are casting spells when you speak and write. It is the art of directing and controlling energy with a spoken word. Words that transform into frequencies and vibrations that can be used to direct energy. Numbers have magical elements also. In fact, the numeral and alphabet system were created based on sacred geometry and sacred sound, and therefore, numbers and letters have magical properties to them. The art of magic is often practiced with certain sacred magnetic words. These sound tones have powerful vibrational patterns, which are used to direct and control energy, and allows you to harness its power if you know what you are doing. Sound is one of the natural forces used by nature to create crystalline structures and sacred geometries, which are some of the building blocks of matter. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In most cultures, the Word is equated with God. The world and the Word are only an L apart. God created the world with the Word. The Watchers, the fallen angels that were cast out of heaven by God, dominate and control this world by using hidden magical forces. The world is being dominated by magical forces. Until you learn how magic is being used to control you, you will never know how the world really works. One example is through the careful construction of the English language, designed and put together in a way that produces magical effects and can manipulate those who are unaware of the word's true meaning. A very handy tool for those who wish to control you. Here is a great example of how words are used to cast spells without us even being aware of it, by Laurel Erica. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn a living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. This seems perfectly acceptable to most people, but remember that a wake is a social gathering associated with death held before a funeral. Mourning is the state you are in grief over someone's death, and you would have to be in a weekdays to earn a living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. The word also can mean the profession of funeral management. The word job is a Hebrew word for persecuted.
You know, I already know, baby girl. I say this every day.
We get the weekend of the deal as we become weekend ourselves. We are not taught this form of magic because it has been hidden from us by the kings and rulers of this world, from our past and our present. The purpose of this is to prevent you from knowing the true intention of language and the powers that we all truly possess inside. The dark forces have been controlling people's life perceptions using magical spells for a very long time now. Their magic spells cannot control 100% of your mind, but they do affect your mind more than you may realize.
That's why you have to be careful, like I always say, about your thoughts.
Just like how subliminal message can affect your subconscious to a large degree. When you speak or write words, you are casting your thoughts and vibrations into the Earth's magnetic field, or magic field, or ether, which is the energy field that helps create and shape your reality of Earth. If you are not careful with what you say or think, you can actually cast a spell without even being aware of it.
Boom, I say it all the time.
Have you ever wondered why one of the first things they teach you to do in school is learn how to spell? You are taught the alphabet and how to count numbers, which are designed using sacred geometry and sacred sound.
Yep, music, all that.
These letters and numbers are ideograms, which are written symbols that represent ideas. After learning the alphabet, you are taught how to spell using the letters of the alphabet. Why do you think they call it spelling?
That's right.
Because you are casting spells when you speak or write. After learning how to spell words, you are taught to cast those spellings into sentences.
So you're doing incantation.
The term sentence in law refers to punishment. For example, when you curse or use swear words, you are creating and directing your negative energy, and that can lead to many negative outcomes, such as violence, emotional suffering, anxiety, and many other harmful situations. And that's why they call it cursing, because you are casting a spell with those cursing words that cut like a sword. On the other hand, when you say or think positive and loving words, you are creating and directing a positive loving energy. When you say the words, I love you, or I think you're a wonderful human being, for example, you are casting a loving spell that transfers your good vibrations to the other person and can activate beautiful euphoric feelings. The most powerful thing in the world is loving energy. The dark forces have been trying for a very long time now to suppress this beautiful energy that our Creator gave us, and have been manipulating and corrupting everything they could get their hands on. But one thing they cannot control is your free will to love. Don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke.
Yep.
Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and cast spells.
That's right.
That's why they call it spelling. Bruce Lee. Dr. Emoto created a famous experiment with water and reports that water is a blueprint for our reality, and that emotional energies and vibrations could change its physical structure. His water crystal experiments consisted of exposing water in glasses to various words, pictures, or music, then freezing and examining the ice crystal properties with microscopic photography. He claims that water exposed to positive speech and thoughts created visually pleasing ice crystals, and that negative intentions yielded ugly ice formations. The word occult means secret or knowledge of the hidden.
Yep.
Its early masters were regarded as true magicians.
Hold on a minute, let me catch up the video to where we at here.
Discovered the occult arts of astrology and alchemy gave birth to modern science. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. We can trace the occult teachings back 5,000 years ago in Egypt. The Egyptians believed that this knowledge was given to them by Thoth, the Egyptian god of magic, who is said to have given the world writing, language, and numbers. Legends held that a book of magic written by Thoth contained the secrets of the gods. This book was considered to be in the astral plane, not physical, but something we have to travel in consciousness to get to. Much of what is called ceremonial magic, such as casting spells, the use of magic words, and incantations, comes from the ancient Egyptians. Phoenicians learned this knowledge and then began to spread it throughout the Mediterranean world. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing, and even today, words retain much of their magical power. We know that Hollywood,
Hell, they've been showing it to us all our lives growing up. Even in cartoons and everything, they always had people doing magic and stuff. He-Man, you had Gargamel with the Smurfs and all that shit. Come on with it. Sleeping Beauty and all that.
big establishment, located in the city of Los Angeles, is a place where magic happens in the movie and music industry. And it's interesting that real magic wands are made out of Hollywood from a holly tree.
That's right.
And this originates from the ancient Druids. A Druid was a member of the elite ranking class, and this society dates back to ancient Celtic cultures. They are best remembered as religious leaders. They were also legal authorities, adjudicators, lore keepers, medical professionals, political advisors. Does this sound familiar so far? Druids are riddled with mysticism and magic, and are said to have contact with the spirit world. Some theorize that the ancient Druids built Stonehenge, given their reverence for it, as well as other sacred monoliths be burned and sacrificed.
Hey, y'all ever seen the
It
movie?
surprised many to learn that the famous Winston Churchill and William Blake were both Druids. To protect yourself from secret spells. Once you are aware and cautious of the words you choose to use, then you will begin to protect yourself from negative energies. Start paying attention to the trickery behind words. Find the origins of a word, dissect its layers, and look at it from many different angles. The true intent and meanings of the word magically become noticeable in your mind. So next time you look up a definition of a word, do not only look at its face value, but also look at its origins, prefix, and suffix. This is very useful information for you to keep in mind and apply to the real world. Once you realize that magic is real and become aware of how an elite evil empire of dark magicians are using magic spells to control you, then their magic spells lose their effects. Your awareness is one of the most important spiritual powers that you have. Learn how to use it wisely, and the dark magicians will not be able to control you. Learn how to use the power of your awareness wisely. You need to learn the right knowledge. With the right knowledge, you could learn to use your energy in ways that you would never imagine to be possible.
Hold on a minute. As I say, they've been showing it to us all our life in cartoons and stuff. It's all kind of hidden symbolisms in the Looney Tunes and stuff like that. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? I thought I had it. It's a different one I want to show here. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's why you got to be careful. This shit ain't gonna play here. Let's listen to a little bit of this vibrations here for a minute.
Well, I see a lot of folks here are interested in magic. And this interest has been rather general for a long time. You may probably remember that in about 87 or 6, there came out a new version of the Holy Bible to be read in churches. And in that new edition, this new one just out, it states very firmly that 3 astrologers saw his star and came to venerate him. Now, this is going to be a blow to somebody, but not much, I don't think. It's really more important to save the civilization than it is to quibble. Now, the astrologers were magi, and the magi of Persia were the source of practically all of the esoteric tradition that drifted into Europe. They were very wise in many things, and their wisdom went back a long way. And among their various achievements were not only astrology and divination, but also a series of very practical discoveries and explanations that will be of service to us today. Three forms of magic were recognized: white magic, a sort of gray colored magic, and black magic. The Magi of Persia were essentially white magicians. They used their arts and their wisdom and their skills for the service of humanity. But like most ancient nations, they had their problems. In the old days, the contact of the human being with his environment was very hazardous. There was no philosophical background to depend on, no regulated theology to lean upon. Each individual had to face the problems of life with whatever courage or insight he possessed. And early in the development of early civilizations, there came around the idea of a medicine priest, a priestly clan, which is perhaps best known for its part in the development of the American Indian structure in North America. It was recognized that there were holy people born with a peculiar gift of some kind, and these holy ones became priests. Now, they were not priests as we would know them now. They were not ordained to a ministry or something. They were priests because they could talk with the olds, or with the spirits, or they could see things that others couldn't see, or they could find out where the buffalo were. So
I'm back. I fixed me some oatmeal. I love oatmeal.
one was Sitting Bull, who was a medicine priest for his entire lifetime, practically. And all that time he lived as one small tribe, and he predicted for them, and he worked with their sick, and he prepared them for their journey into the afterlife. He even went with them, according to legends, and helped them to make the crossing to that world beyond, where the campfires are in the sky, stars. The priests of that type were an absolutely essential part of civilization. They made it possible. The average person was frightened. He had no securities, no protections, and no insights. He had to depend upon something, and that something was early the medicine priest. Now, the medicine priest in turn had to depend upon something. He had to depend either upon the insights which he possessed within his own nature, or make use of symbols, and figures, and signs, and various talismans to enforce his beliefs or teachings. Not very long ago, we noticed in one of our prominent journals a whole page devoted to the classification of available charms that you can buy right now. These charms will do almost everything. They will help you to face the future, or they will take care of housemaid's needs. Whatever you may have, you can get a charm for it. An exposition was made in London, a survey was taken, and 40% of the London school children carried charms with them every day. Now, because we still have the uncertainties, and in these critical times, the uncertainties become more immediate. Probably we were never as troubled as we are today, even in primitive times. In those days, we didn't know enough to be troubled as we are now. But we are finding more and more that we are not able to handle the situation. We cannot cope with the skullduggery that is going on in society. And the average person, like the average primitive human being, must seek some solace, some consolation, and some source of inner strength. Out of that came the most interesting of all art, perhaps, fetish art. Art to convey to the individual a certain strength due to its own design. The Egyptians were masters of fetish art. So were the Gnostics. Most of the Oriental people are strongly developed in it. It is to carry something, have something, say something, know words or formulas by means of which you can meet unexpected emergencies. Now, the attainment of this type of security is, of course, open to considerable psychological speculation. It's very possible that the fact that we believe in the charm gives it an efficacy. That we believe in it and we gain a strength from our believing. We support a weakness in our own nature and are able to face things a little better or a little more securely than we could without this symbolical help. Now, objects around the people of old days were used for making such charms. The turquoise charms of the American and Central American Indians also drifted into Tibet and were used for all types of medical, spiritual, ethical problems. We also noticed another peculiarity. Nothing in its native state is magical. It has to have something done to it so that it becomes something different. And I saw a very good example of that on Navajo Reservation. Two little stones, about the size of a nickel each, were very pretty little stones. The children played with them. But then came the time when something was necessary. A new charm had to be fashioned. So the two little stones were laid one on top of the other, and a loop of rawhide was put around to hold them together. Immediately they were not two little stones anymore. Now they had the power of the olds, the powers of the truths, the powers of the goods. By carrying that little charm around, you gain some kind of spiritual strength or consolation. You were able to face the day with greater bravery. And if it happened that you were going into battle, you felt you had a greater chance of survival. Charms of this kind and fetishes were very, very common in Europe. In the days of the great Crusades, there were a great many pilgrims that went to the Far East, the Near East, in search of religious consolation. All the way along the line, there were dangers. And many of these pilgrims wore symbolic forms or figures in their hats to protect them. First, they began by using gold or silver medals attached to the hat. But many of them were held up and killed for the gold medals. So they became finally merely paper symbols. But if you had that on your hat, you had a better chance of getting to Jerusalem. And you probably had no actually better chance. But you approached life with a greater positive sense of strength. So the charm and the fetish were strength symbols. They helped us to go on and do things we did not believe to be possible. In medicine, it's the placebo. It is a little capsule of nothing but ground white flour. If you take it, it'll cure all kinds of diseases that you do not have. You think you have them? This helps you. Everywhere there is a magical value in the unknown. There is something that, if you can visualize it as useful or helpful, can do wonderful things. This is the secret of holy relics. No one knows how efficacious they really are, but that they have resulted in miraculous circumstances cannot be denied. We do not know just how the healings of Lourdes and Saint-Anne de Beaupré are achieved, but certainly the belief is important. The charms, their symbolism, the prayer, and a physical action to make all these things into one pattern gives the individual a strength that he does not otherwise possess. Now, white magic in its essential form must be virtuous. White magic is that which serves without hurting. It is that which accomplishes good and is never used for any other purpose.
That's right.
White magic is the use of the powers of life, the powers of nature, and even the ordinary faculties of the mind for the perpetuation of constructive imagery. It is necessary, therefore, that all white magic, in order to retain its nature, must be backed by a strong moral character. This is something that has been very common throughout Asia, where most of the dedicated mendicants, the holy men, have achieved a kind of white magic by gaining complete control over their own mind.
And you know what it is? Lucas Star Wars, That's all that is when they talk about the force. Learning how that method, that mind, controlling things with your mind. That's all it is.
Their own emotions or their own actions. These people, to remain white magicians, would under no conditions pervert, corrupt, or compromise the principles which they hold sacred. Therefore, a life dedicated to certain spiritual principles gains also a strength, and this strength can be considered as magical because it involves faculties that cannot be completely classified. No one can be sure of what happens, but if something does happen, then in some mysterious way, an energy that resides in nature is made available to the human being. And it is generally known and widely respected that where dedication results in a greater interior enlightenment, the individual does perform heroic services for mankind. So white magic is the use of every power that we know for the service of good. It is the ability to learn but never abuse what is learned. And it is that the highest of all learning is that which is dedicated to unselfish purposes. White magic is not used to help oneself. It is assumed, however, that properly used for other purposes, it brings with it a security of the inner self. The individual who serves gradually gains the realization that a divine power in himself is making this service possible. And it is this divine power which then becomes the leader of his life. In this way, we have a great many very wonderful examples of dedication, and the fact that these dedications in their turn have contributed tremendously to the advancement and survivals of civilized orders and peoples. Now, in white magic, therefore, the individual must realize that the principal energy upon which he depends is not his own. The energy is within himself. It is a soul power. It is a divine energy within himself. And any use that he makes of this divine energy must be worthy of its source, the light of God and the light of truth. If this is perverted and the individual becomes self-centered and turns these energies for the advancement of his own purposes, he goes against the statement long made, others whom he could help, but himself he could not save. Therefore, the individual who uses the divine power is forbidden by the law itself to use it for himself. But by using it for others, he reaps a virtue within himself. Always the motive becomes the basis of the difference between these various types of discipline. If the motive is personal, the achievement is much lower,
Y'all don't want to hear this,
much less permanent than where it is for the service of something greater than self. Now, in the life of the average person growing up today, there is an unfortunate lack of nearly any idealistic structure capable of dominating conduct. Small children are not taught that conduct is of great importance to them. They drift along under some circumstances reasonably well, other times not so well. Some are miserably neglected and left to develop the best they can. The condition of children today is very poor, generally speaking. On the other,
out there it's 8:28. Cause I didn't realize until after I got into tarot. Like I tell everybody, I'm a preacher's kid. Grew up in the church. Let me tell you something. My father did not allow us to play with no damn playing cards. Period. I got caught playing with the cards all the time. And my dad ain't never whooped me now. But you talking about got on my behind? Oh no, we wasn't allowed to have no cards. And I always wonder why. And then once I started getting into tarot, I figured that way. Because people read, that's how people first started reading cards, regular playing cards. That's right. The suits, the hearts, the suit of hearts. That's the cups in tarot, which represents the water. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Clubs. That represent the wands in tarot. Fire. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Spades represent swords in tarot. The air energy. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. And the diamonds represent earth energy, which is pentacles in tarot. Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. Then you can use the wild cards, the jokers, as like the fool or the the hangman. You can use them, for that. But that's what they all start out with. See how deep. See them. Like I said, my dad was a Mason, 33 degrees. That's right. They are all this here. That's the secret. That's the secret. But see, some people use it for bad to manifest things for themselves. To do things for evil. You got good people and everything. You got good Masons, you got bad Masons. You got good white people, you got bad white people. You got good black people, you got bad black people. You can't judge everybody because of that. Some people just choose to stay in the ego and do things from the shadow to help them instead of helping humanity, which is what it's meant to do, help each other. That's what it's for.
And the individual, the parent, should understand the responsibilities of his own office. A parent who leaves children to be neglected is injuring himself far more than he could possibly do by some obvious act of delinquency. We have to use the divine powers that are given to us to serve the divine needs of our fellow men. We must use them as they were intended to be used. Not to make life more comfortable for ourselves, but to make life more important for those in great need. We have today a world in great need. We have hundreds of millions of people on the verge of starvation. Therefore, it becomes particularly unfortunate in these days to use the needs, sorrows, miseries, and sufferings of other people as the basis of improving our own economic conditions.
Exactly, and that's what they do.
This is not good white magic.
That's right.
White magic is also the development of the love.
And Manly P. Hall, he's my favorite. That's how I really got into esoteric and occult stuff and spirituality when I started listening to him. And he was a 33-degree Mason. But yeah, I think he evil. He spent his whole life trying to educate everybody about all this. That book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, I got all his books. He wrote that book using, different sources. But he had the Philosophical Society in Los Angeles. This man devoted his life to doing lectures and stuff. It didn't even get paid for him, really. But all Masons are evil.
Actually, as Plato pointed out, the end of all wisdom is to understand faith. It is to understand the real deep relationship between the human being and his creator. And this relationship is divine love. And this divine love is transmitted from generation to generation and from level to level of culture to become the basis of personal and impersonal affection. There is love of God, love of country, love of beauty, love of family. There are all kinds of affection, but they are all, to a wager, magical. Love is one of the great magical powers because it transforms the individual in whom it is real. When we really love someone, we cannot abuse them, we cannot cheat them, we cannot do things to them which will be to their detriment. Therefore, love carries with it sacrifice for a cause, sacrifice for a loved person, sacrifice for love of God, sacrifice for love of country. All this love is
Boom. I can't make this shit up. I keep telling y'all this. I tell y'all this every day. Y'all be listening in the clouds. Cause like I said, I know you be listening because later on you tell on you said because you say something I be don't say it. I keep saying that, but I just quit saying anything about it because I already know y'all be in the bushes. But I say this. I say that. That's love is I've been telling y'all that. That's my philosophy. That's the only way we're gonna heal this world. I've been saying that, but love is the highest vibration. That's why I told you. That's why the Bible is esoteric. These parables, these symbolisms, and all that stuff, allegories. Okay, love thy neighbor as thyself. But the first and the greatest commandment is that you love one another as I have loved you. That's the greatest commandment. See what I'm talking about? How you have to dissect that thing? Agape, unconditional love, which is a Christ-like love. To love everybody. You're supposed to love everybody. There's no greater love than for what? A man to lay down his life for his fellow, for his brother or sister, right? That's love, man. If you really truly say you love somebody, care about somebody, yeah. That's where you recognize the real from the fake, see?
unselfish. And a fire that is unselfish is white magic. If it becomes selfish, it turns gray, and if it is selfish enough, it will turn black. But in the normal, proper way of things, it should be just a little off-white. Occasionally, we can be excused for a minor slip into something of a personal nature, maybe a little too much so. But for the benefit of the world in general, a person who loves truly is an asset to his world and is strengthening himself above any discipline that he might take to improve.
That's why the readings come out the way they do. That's why everybody be read. So many people. I'm just still amazed at how many people watch tarot. I mean, it's millions of people watch tarot. I mean, the ones that I promote, I know they got over 100,000 subscribers, 50,000, 30,000. Just the ones that I promote. And just imagine all these other tarot readers. But people don't believe in shit like this, so they say.
His character. So we have now the basis of white magic: service, sacrifice.
Oh yeah, I kind of got sidetracked. Y'all know when I start talking, and I'm trying to eat too. That's what I'm saying about we all connected. Because we all experiencing the same thing. Because we all connect. We all one. And I have been said that I consider myself, I say a demigod, a little god. Because we all made in the image of the creator, the source. We all connected to source. We all connected. So therefore, we are gods. The creator is the highest, the greatest great, the greatest God. The numero uno, as I say. But we also are gods. Is it not written in your scriptures that ye are gods?
And dedication. You have the individual using the power of God for the good of man, using the mysterious resources of the universe to make life happier and safer for those who live with us and for those who come after us. This means that their true white magic has to be the result of a considerable internal insight. The individual must really and surely believe that the energies, resources, powers, and integrities that he possesses were given to him to use for a common cause. He is to be better not for his own sake alone, but for the world in which he lives. And if he becomes better, his world immediately improves. There is a mysterious magic here also. The complainer always lives in a poor world. But as he rises above his own limitations and transmutes his own attitudes, he suddenly finds the world is a lot better than he thought it was. Always white magic is the power to see good and to grow and to do things more effectively for the sake of humanity in general. Now we go to the opposite end of this and see what we can do with black magic. Black magic is another factor we've had with us from the time of the Greeks, Romans, Persians, and Hindus. Black magic has always been a source of fear, a source of dread. It has controlled people by terrorizing them. It has controlled individuals by threatening them with psychic forces or psychic disasters. At one time, I knew a case in which an individual was nearly frightened to death because he belonged to an organization which he finally discovered was not what it ought to be, and he asked to resign and decided to resign. And he was told by a member of the organization that if he tried to resign or left them, he would be magically destroyed. He survived it, but it was a bad time for a while. Sorcery is also black magic. In old days, sorcery was often a black magician making a circle in the earth at the crossroads of two main highways, standing in the midst of his circle and invoking spirits with magic charms. Another favorite spot for this type of activity was the local graveyard. It was always assumed that the ghosts and the spirits were available. And most of the ghosts and spirits that appear in the old books are rather unpleasant-looking figures. Some of them are actually rather terrifying if you want to accept them literally. But it is also true that these spirits and these ghostly things were part of a way of controlling people. They were terrorizing many individuals, and even today among primitive people, or semi-primitive people, this terrorizing continues. It is the individual held from the freedom of his own life by fear, by anxiety, by the belief that someone has power to destroy him. Many years ago, in several countries, there was a form of mentalism developed in which individuals took lessons in how to influence other people's thinking. All you had to do was sit very quietly, meditate, say certain holy names, and turn the attention to this distant person whom you wish to influence, and force them to make the changes that you can cause them to make by the use of magic. And that went on quite a while. Exponents did pretty well for themselves. And of course the teachers did very well for themselves, as they always do under those conditions. And then came the deluge. And suddenly, these people who were out influencing others realized that others could be influencing them at the same time. That was all different. We wish to influence other people to do what we want, but we didn't want them to influence us to do what they want. And so that whole group of nervous breakdowns resulted, in which individuals were frightened to death because others were using on them what they had been trying to use on each other. So this gradually faded out. It wasn't so good anymore. It became obvious that all over influence could work both ways. And when it starts to work in reverse, it loses its interest, becomes a source of greater fear and anxiety. Black magic is represented in the heavy literature called grimoires. These are little penny productions, most of them forgeries, accredited to great teachers of the past. One is the grimoire of St. Augustine, another is the grimoire of St. Thomas Aquinas, then there is a grimoire of Aristotle. All different names of famous people have been put on books made up of funny magical characters that don't spell anything and in languages nobody can read, but we're supposed to carry charms for the control of spirits. And in the black magic societies, it was assumed that there was an infernal equivalent to the divine hierarchy. As there was a god, though there was a devil. as this God was served by all kinds of angels and archangels and thrones and dominations and powers, so the infernal God was served by all forms of evil beings. And so one such evil being, of course, is the hero in Faust's story of Mephistopheles. But anyway, these evil spirits became a hierarchy, and lessons were given in it, and in doing these things, and many famous people are believed to have signed pacts with fallen angels to have all the powers of the world for a certain length of time, and they lose their own souls. One who signed such a pact, according to pretty solid tradition at least, was Oliver Cromwell. And the pact ended on a certain day, and so did he. So that all these things are part of a great cycle of mystery. Now, black magic is dedicated to the concept of power without retribution. It is based upon the idea that it is possible for the human being to conceive and design and invent all kinds of mysterious things for unworthy purposes. It is possible for him to gather wealth by unfair action. And always with these things were little scribbles, little lines of mysterious characters in Greek or Hebrew or Senzar or Phoenician or something that nobody could read. Now this kind of brings something to mind that we don't think of very much. What are the great magical alphabets of today? Mathematics. All those formulas on the blackboards, on the institutes of technology, a mysterious abracadabra understood only by those who have been students of the subject. But out of these strange combinations of figures, numbers, various variations, come all kinds of strange things. From the studies of physics and biology and chemistry, there has developed a tremendous number of very strange and not necessarily very wonderful things. Remember now that the motive is the purpose, is the principal factor. Where a thing is done to help mankind, it is right. Where it is done to profit only individuals, or is made to damage some at the expense of others, it is black magic, regardless of whether it is on the level of banking or on the level of agriculture. Motive lies behind everything. If the motive is not basically good, then the individual gets into trouble. Many years ago, I was talking by a physicist from the University of Berkeley on their researches in nuclear weaponry. And I asked him how he slept at night as being part of this program. And he said very simply, he said, well, we don't have no responsibility. We invent, we don't use. If we invent it and somebody else abuses it, it's their fault, not ours. If they want to use it for war instead of for peace, we can't help it. The possibility of preventing it in the first place never occurred to him. But years ago, several prominent physicists retired rather than to go on into the type of armament that is based upon those funny little figures that look almost exactly like some of the magical characters in the black magical books of the Middle Ages. So here we have now skill. We have the ability to invent. And we think of progress in terms of invention. We're so proud of landing somebody on the moon that we can hardly wait to get them onto Mercury. We are so proud of the television that we never give a thought as to what comes over it. We are very proud of the nuclear fission and all that has to do with it. Now we're gaining an inordinate pride over all these computers that we are using for one purpose or another. Nobody, however, gives any thought to the misuse of these things. Once they are invented, you can't take it back. The Egyptians and the Greeks had a lot of knowledge of these subjects. but they gave this knowledge only to initiated members of their esoteric bodies. And they held those initiates under the strongest obligation. One single slip of the tongue could cost the initiate his life if he was dedicated to the service of the temple. For in antiquity, it wasn't what you discovered, it's how you used it that determined what kind of a person you are. It wasn't the fact that you were famous because you discovered something. You were famous because you contributed to the common good. That it was a better world because you had lived in it. If that's true, you had a right to have a statue in one of the present public buildings. But not simply because you discovered a better weapon with which to kill somebody else. So black magic is the abuse of knowledge, the abuse of the energies of life, the perversion of the principles of science, medicine, law, or religion. Black magic is the use of those values which are divinely available to us for purposes contrary to the will of God and the need of humanity. And where this happens, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble because you can't break rules without hurting yourself in the long run. So here we now have a world which is largely dominated by the abuse of privilege, energy, and opportunity. We have a world made up of people who do not care what the consequences are. The only thing they want to do is...
While not necessarily a canonical work of the major religions, the Book of Enoch is certainly an interesting read. The text itself dates back to 300 BC and is noted as being more of an ancient Jewish text, but does maintain a place in some modern Christian and Jewish traditions. Enoch himself, which the book is named after, is referenced in the book of Genesis and is detailed as being an ancestor of Noah. One of the most prominent figures in the book of Enoch are the Watchers, angelic beings described as being both the sons of God and the sons of heaven in chapter 7. Many believe that the Watchers, referred to as the Grigori in Enoch 2, were angels who watched over the human race and would serve as earthly guides for the very first humans. They were tasked...
What's going on, Capricorns? We're going to go ahead and jump into your March 2023 mid-month reading here. And we're going to take a look and see what is going on with you for the rest of the month. Interesting enough, when I was pre-shuffling with this deck, the cards flew out twice, and they're basically all the same type of archetypal energy. And there's something here about, well, I can say what came out. It was the South Node, Mercury. No, it was the South Node, third house, Virgo. And then the second time the cards flew out, it was Mercury retrograde, sixth house. So basically, it's the same energy. There's something here in the past that I feel like you're reviewing, you're going back over. And with the South Node, that's why I say it's the past. And also, if you want to say Mercury retrograde as well, but it's like something that you're still internally trying to digest here. There's things that you're having to look back at toward the past in order for you to move forward in the future. South Node is like, you can say it's karma too, but it goes to the past, right? Internal. So it goes, it's an introverted energy back to the past. In order for us to have radical change, in the future, we have to address something in the past. So there's something here I see here that you're still trying to understand. Okay, let's take a look, Capricorn. Ooh, past life energy. From a past life. It's been a long time. The song is Past Life by Tame Impala. I believe it's past. If you type that in, it'll come up. And look at that, 2 5s. Definitely some blockages, some challenges here, obstacles in the way. There's something I see here you reflecting back on in the past. And it could be in regards to people, situation, a relationship, a situationship. So, and really though, it's like you had to disconnect from whatever this is with the 5 swords. Or could it ended in a way to where it's like it just ended in a way to where you just had to move on. So, but it's interesting though. The 4 of Wands being your overall energy here. Did I call you Virgo? Capricorn. The 4 of Wands being here though for the overall energy, it's like you have something positive here in your future, especially with the Sun card being here. But this is really about you getting your stability back and doing things that you enjoy. I'm getting something about a relationship, and whether it's not a relationship that you're dealing with, this is just when it comes to you just in general, that it's like getting back to just having fun in life again is the 4 of Wands. Finding the adventure and the thrill again in life, which is why in the very beginning of the reading is like something in the past wants to be addressed and looked at in order for you to move forward and have fun. But I do see you having fun though in the future with the Sun card. 5 of Pentacles and the challenge, like I said, letting go of something, you're in a transitionary period. You haven't found quite exactly what it is that you've been looking for, or maybe you're in a situation here to where it's like you haven't stumbled across or kind of you're not in the right space, I would say right now, to where you feel like everything is gravy. You get what I'm saying? It's all gravy, baby. But the Sun card in the future, of course, we're going to clarify. We'll pull Oracle cards and stuff. But some of y'all like, I quit. I'm tired of digging these holes, Grandpa. Well, that's too damn bad. You keep digging. All right, let's see. I feel like I need to keep shuffling, Capricorn. You're a little piggy, little picky here. Being too critical. I'm just joking. Some of you, I'm getting this as well. You may be actually wanting to make some lifestyle changes here. I feel like you're realizing, yeah, it's time to make some lifestyle changes to live a better life. I want to keep calling y'all Virgo, Capricorn. Don't take it personal. This is Capricorn's reading, I promise. The Hangman in the position of something that you're unaware of. Page of Wands is how you get to your challenge. Ace of Pentacles is in your outcome here. You got something positive coming up here. Some type of new opportunity. I feel like this is new. I don't think this is anything past. I feel like whatever it is that you're dealing with right now, you're addressing that. So that way you can actually build a bigger, brighter future. I'm not saying that everything is like all gray clouds and dark skies. That's not what I'm saying. I just feel like right now it's like things could be better. And I feel like you're realizing that. And with the Sun card and the Ace of Pentacles being here, it's like this is you building a better future. I feel like there's something just a lot more shinier. Page of Wands is how you get through your challenge. I feel like it's really interesting, Capricorn, because I'm kind of getting energies like the universe is just, it's wanting you to initiate, like to do things that not make you happy, but just do things that bring a sense of fun here. Capricorn's like fun. I always say for Capricorns, it's like, whatever this is like, you're like, it's hard for you to let go of. But I feel like it allows you to be a lot more happier, which I see you being a lot more happier. And 4 of Wands is also your independence, your freedom, right? To live a life that you enjoy and that you like, and you don't feel confined to something or tied down to something or stuck to something. And the Hangman is the ultimate lesson here, I feel. It's like letting go, surrendering, embracing, having self-love, compassion for yourself. Realize that there's a greater purpose for why all this happened. Or something in this moment is trying to teach you something, but it really does take some time here with the Hangman to be able to pause and reflect. and make peace with the past. Let's see. 11th house community. For some of you, it could even be in regards to the community. Shit. But oh, I hope. I'm just kidding. You have the 11th house. I see some of you guys getting really busy in your community. But also, too, 11th house is a house of enjoyment, right? So, and especially with the Four of Wands, it's like I feel like this is just you getting back to enjoying life again, enjoying things again. Not being in such serious energy. I don't even know what I'd be doing sometimes. It's like Capricorns want to contain my Leo energy. Oh, okay, hold on. You have this justice. It says scales here. So this is you're getting things back into balance and like, because I feel like it's been away on one side to where it's like, just in general, it's like, I feel like the whole lesson with this hangman is like a sense of balance. All right, let's clarify. Capricorn. Man, I swear, I think I've been calling out Virgo throughout this whole reading. I'm not redoing this reading, so it's Capricorn. Hermit. Dang, some of y'all been at home too much, huh? I'm hearing couch potato. What's that about? No, I feel like just a lot of you have been very just kind of secluded lately. You've just been at home a lot. Three of Wands here. Yeah, I feel like you're moving on from something. Temperance, Five of Pentacles is a challenge. Allowing things to come back into equilibrium. Finding balance, harmony again. Serenity and peace. Let's see. Two of Swords, the Sun card. Again, the Two of Swords and the Scales are the same energy with the Libra energy. So you may have Libra in your chart, but I just think this is just you getting back to peace and happiness here and living a more balanced life. But lunation cycle, Aries. I get by the time, this is a prediction, I get by the time we have the first quarter moon with this new moon in Aries, which will be in Cancer, that you'll be able to see something or things will start to be shown here. Three of Pentacles and the Hangman, something that you're unaware of here. You're not going to like what I'm about to say, Capricorn, but I do feel like Spirit's wanting you to let go of expectations, just surrender and flow. Obviously, work, I know how y'all are, but just just see what happens. Ooh, Death card. Transformation. I'm hearing there's a wait. Devil card. Spicy. Why is it so spicy? And then you got the Magician here. There may be some there's definitely something newer that you're stepping into or creating here. I would say that your advice right now is to, while you're going through a period of transformation, you know, Page of Wands telling you to, like, you know, be more light, be more airy, be more, you know, have more fun, do things that bring you joy. But I do get here in your outcome that there's some type of, I feel like this Devil card is you, Capricorn. I really just get here that this is you. What is this? Five of Cups. I just feel like this is you just being able to put the past behind you. And I feel that you're creating something newer in your life here as well. Oh, Lord. I sound redundant at this point. Let's see. Yeah, you have this cedar tree that says wisdom. Sometimes I'll be like, I think I just be repeating myself sometimes. I feel like whatever these challenges and these obstacles are, what you're going through, the strife, ultimately, I feel like you'll be able to look back and understand and see the meaning in it all. Nine of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. King of Pentacles. For you singles, I do feel there could be a new person in your extended outcome. I'm getting, if you dealt with a lot of immaturity in the past, I feel like this person will be very mature. I'm also seeing something in regards to business and work where there could be collaborations, or you could be learning from an individual here, or collaborating with an individual. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're already doing your thing, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you're just like really involved in your work, you may be promoted at some point or rise to the ranks because of your experience with the wisdom card. So that's what I got for you, Capricorns. I appreciate y'all for watching. If you want to book a personal reading with me, the link's down below in the description. Yeah, if you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and
Hello, my dear viewers. Welcome to today's reading. This is a general reading for all Capricorns for April 2023. It is all about your life. This is a general reading about your life, your love life, your money, your health, your home, everything, your career, and everything in between. For April 2023, let's see what are the two major impacts that will impact all Capricorns. Welcome, my dear viewers. And the first one is we have the Page of Wands. Someone new is entering your life that is going to bring you inspiration, that is going to help you take action. Someone really wonderful. And we will clarify it further and more. Now we have the Star, one of your wishes being granted. The nurturing power of the guardian angels that are going to be very nurturing, very supportive towards you. And you are going to be granted one wish. This is the Star that gives you abundance. And what you don't see coming, there is somebody going to be helping you. Water energy, Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. They are going to be very supportive and uplift you and support you in some endeavor. Especially when you are torn between two situations and not knowing what to do, there is a water energy that is going to support you. Could be Pisces or could be Scorpio. Okay, so that's that one. Let's see what it does the golden tree want to tell all Capricorns for April. That's one message, and there it is. And the message is one enchanted evening. One enchanted evening is going to be the perfect night. It's going to overcome a challenge for you, and it's going to be very inspirational. One special evening. Okay, very interesting. Now let's have a look at what else you need to know. I'll just do the Sacred Garden, the message, and then I'll do the further tarot. Let's see. One card, one message for Capricorns for April. And the message is renewal. This is beautiful. This is Archangel Gabriel. That card, the Judgment card, and it's about renewal of life. It's about compensation, about a lot of rewards being given to you. It's also about a new chapter that begins in your life that's going to be inspirational and it's going to be spectacular because it's going to be very, very rewarding. So that's what's coming. Now let's have a look at the four more cards. One just opened up, and wow, look at that. I'll just do that for Capricorn, for April, the Truth. And look at the card that fell. What fell? The Star. Isn't it amazing? So your wish, one of your wishes is going to be granted without any doubt, without any hesitation. So a renewal, and you've got two cards of the Star, two major arcana, the Star, talking about never giving up hope. It's about you reaching to a level beyond where you are today, especially because of one wish that you've had for the longest time. This wish is going to be finally granted, and you are going to have a lot of other small desires and wishes all become possible because of this grand wish. Something you've always wanted, you are going to have it, and it's going to give you the new lease on life and a renewal altogether. So prepare for that. That is magnificent. So that was the first card here. Okay. Now, and don't forget the one Enchanted Evening. Let's see what else. Something from the past that's you might be going through memory lane and thinking about, happy memories from the past. This could also be something to do with family and children. This could be also someone from the past coming into your life, like a soulmate or a friend or somebody you knew. I'll clarify to see exactly what's going on. Someone very inspirational that might give you an idea or uplift you or help you to the next level, sort of like an inspiration, someone coming into your life, or an idea from someone of water energy, like Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces again. That could be it. And then one more card. Something is coming to an absolute end. There is an ending to a chapter of your life or to someone in your life. It is absolutely ending a chapter that was very painful. It is finally coming to an absolute ending. What you don't see coming is you are destined to be with someone from your past, which is your soulmate, rather at the end of something, and there is abundance of money coming to you. So first and foremost, after an ending, there is going to be a soulmate connection, someone wonderful that is from your past life, someone that you will meet and have an amazing connection with, partnership with. For some of you, it's partnership. It could be an amazing business partnership that will bring you abundance. Right after you end a chapter that's happening at that time where you're going through some sort of an ending or somebody passing. Sometimes when these two cards unite, there could be the passing of someone, and then with this one, it becomes an inheritance in some cases. But I'll say it's an ending or a passing, either one, and it's at that time where you are reuniting with your soulmate, and there is unexpected money coming to you. Large amount of unexpected money that you want to protect and you want to put into action. So that's what's happening. And now I'm going to start clarifying the cards. But before I do, I'll just have a look at just one or two cards. Well, this is the first one. It says the answers are within. For those of you who are seeking answers and wondering for the truth is within you, and it's coming. A lot of matters are going to come to support you and uplift you to the next level. Let's see what your guardian angel's message is for you for April, Capricorn.
Yeah, I'm calling. Go ahead and call it a night. Good night, baby girl. Love you.